Hi there, my name is Jack Wallen. I wasn't going to do this, but I can't keep my mouth shut. Anybody that knows me well enough understands that not keeping my mouth shut is sort of my superpower, or one of them. Every day I wake up angry, wondering what in the hell he's done today. And you know, the sad thing is I don't even have to name the person I'm talking about, because you have to know. Recently I filmed a rant about how I felt regarding this whole thing, and I walked out of my studio and into my office with the intent of editing that file and posting it. But by the time I got up the top of the stairs, I had a sick feeling in my chest that I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to publish that rant because it was so hateful and negative. It was obviously pointed toward that person, he who shall not be named. And you know who I'm talking about. And then I realized, let's be helpful. Because that is ultimately what this channel of mine is about. Helping people. Whether it be artists and how to navigate the world as an artist, or just being human, spreading kindness. And of course, then there's my Linux 101, which is all about helping. So I thought, why not do a video with suggestions on how to survive the next 4 years? Now, I'm also going to make this bold statement. I don't know why, but I'm going to make this bold little statement. I don't think he's going to last 4 years. I think either his health or his ego will prevent him from doing that. And I'm not one to wish harm on anybody, but I hope that he doesn't make it throughout 4 years. I hope that his ego gets the best of him and it wrecks his chance to make it 4 more years. And of course, in his minuscule brain, he thinks that he's going to be king of America. Well, guess what? America doesn't have a king, and we never will have a king. But anyway, that's not the point here. The point is, how do we survive? Well, my first suggestion is one that I have taken on very personally and will do so with every fiber of my being. In that, I am going to be me. I'm going to be as me as I possibly can. And I'm not going to allow anyone to try to convince me otherwise, that I shouldn't be me. Because who I am and what I do doesn't hurt anybody. In fact, I like to think that I help people and I do good, which allows me to think that I'm just going to be me as boldly as I can, even in the face of the scrutiny that could come with this administration. Because this administration, I'm non-binary. I'm a non-binary person. This administration wants to tell me that I do not exist. Well, I do. I do exist. I'm right here. You can touch me. You can hear me. If you were right in front of me, you could smell me. If you really wanted to, you could taste me, but that would get a little awkward. But I'm here and I exist, and I'm not going to stop existing, and I am going to continue being who I am as loudly as I can. Even if for only one reason, that I might be able to, at some point, make someone else who may or may not be similar to me feel like they can also be themselves without fear. Well, there will always be a certain amount of fear. I mean, when I walk outside dressed the way I dress, I know there's always going to be scorn and derision tossed my way from any number of people. But what I just do instead is focus on the positive, because there are also people out there that might look at me and go, yeah, good for him. Good for that person for doing what they are doing and being as brave as they are. Because trust me, people, it takes a certain level of brevity, of cojones, of stones, whatever you want to call it, to walk out in public as I do, and many, many, many others do. Because you know people are going to talk, people are going to point, some people will laugh, some people might even get violent, because those people feel like they've been empowered to do so thanks to the man in charge. So, number one, be yourself. Number two, support others like you. Support others who are not like you. Support people of color. Support marginalized people. Support minorities. You can support them by finding local businesses run by these marginalized people. Yeah? Buy their products. Or if you can't find a place local, find one online. And spread the word. But it's not just about financial support. If you know marginalized people like I do, make sure you're regularly reaching out to them to say, hey, I know it's hard right now. Are you okay? And if you are not okay, what can I do to help you? What can I do to make your life, your existence, a little better and maybe even a little bit more meaningful? And if there isn't anything that I can do to help you, at least know that I've got your back, that I support you, that I love you, that I care for you, and I am here when and if you need me. That's really important, because there are a lot of people out there, a lot of people even just like me, who don't have a support system around them. Their families may have pretty much turned their backs on them and said, you're dead to me. They may have trouble finding employment. All sorts of things. But it's important to understand that those people need your support. They need to know that you're there for them. They need to know that you are an ally. So be an ally. Take a breath. That's another thing. You've got to take care of yourself. Number 3, take care of yourself. It is not easy. Like I said, I wake up every morning angry. What do? Well, it does help me just being authentic. That is good for my soul and my heart. But what else? Well, I don't read the news like I used to. And more importantly, I don't read only mainstream media. And I actually now watch, hear very little mainstream media. I go to AP News, The Guardian, and other sources that aren't using their platform as a means to get people to offer clickbait, essentially, because they know that the more strongly worded their headlines and the content, you're going to go look. So they're going to work in as much hyperbole as they can. And also, I take this very much to heart. I firmly believe that the mainstream media, like MSNBC, CNN, CBS, all of those news organizations are partially responsible for him getting elected, because they didn't do their jobs. They were over here. They were saying, "Oh, look, what in the world can Kamala Harris offer us? She hasn't really shown where does she stand on Palestine? Blah 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 blah." And then over here, they're like, "Oh, Trump." Because of that, I've stopped supporting those organizations. Number 4, be careful of social media. Social media is both the worst and the best thing to have come about in a long time. On a good day, social media is a way for us to stay in connection with people we care for. I have friends on social media that I only can communicate with through social media, and I value those friendships. But at the same time, there is so much shit on social media that is there for the sole purpose of pissing me off. And I think Facebook knows that. I think Mark Zuckerberg is just as complicit in what's happening right now as is mainstream media and apathetic voters and all sorts of things. And I have pretty much stopped doom scrolling through Facebook because it doesn't do me any good. In fact, it does nothing but harm. So I spend my efforts over on Blue Sky, which is a kinder, gentler social media. There's no guarantee it's going to stay that way. But for now, it is. But I would suggest, and I actually did a video about this a while ago. I would suggest creating a group on Facebook and inviting your friends into that group and using that group as just a way to communicate with those people. And that's pretty much what I've done. I've created a group on Facebook. I've added all these people that I care for, and we have conversations in that group. And I don't venture outside of that group very often anymore because Facebook is a cesspool. And it is full of misinformation and MAGA. And I can't even begin to tell you how many ads I saw on Facebook that were all about Trump products and Trump supporters and all that. I don't want to see that. So I don't. I willingly step away from that platform, and my life's better for it. And so I still use Messenger so I can direct message people, but why should I go through the frustration and anger when I can take steps to avoid that? Right? Another thing is get out and interact with your friends. And if you can't get out, pick up the phone and call them. Because sometimes a face-to-face conversation is the best healing balm that you can find. Because you need to vent. You need to be able to get this stuff off of your chest, and just posting it on social media, it doesn't work anymore because you never know if anybody's going to see it. And I have been in that position where I'm posting things on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and I realize, oh, nobody's seeing this. I feel absolutely unheard and alone. That doesn't do you any good. So reach out to your friends that are local to you and say, hey, let's get together for coffee or whatever and chat so you can talk about this situation and share ideas with how to survive it. Here's another thing. Get involved with local politics. I know it's crazy, and I know a lot of people don't have the time and effort to do this or the inclination to do this, and it doesn't mean that you have to run for office. But reach out to those local politicians and say, I'm not happy with the way things are going. What can we do? Now, I live in a state, Kentucky, where my representatives pretty much don't give a shit about me. Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, they don't answer their phones. They don't read their email. because they know that most likely it's filled with vitriol towards them. They don't want to read that. For the longest time, Mitch McConnell's phone didn't even work, or it didn't take messages. And he was not going to change that. So every time I see on Facebook or social media, hey, reach out to your representatives and tell them that you don't like what's, well, when your representatives are Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, you're kind of stuck behind the 8 ball there. And you know that, well, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to change their tack. They're going to keep going straight on, and Mitch McConnell, the Grim Reaper, is going to still do everything he can to obstruct and blah, 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 and all that. And to hell with them. It's really, I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard living in a state that is as red as Kentucky. A state that has willingly voted Mitch McConnell back into office for decades. Those are the kinds of people that I'm living with in this state. Now, fortunately, the city that I live in is kind of a blue anomaly. So there are plenty of people around me that feel the same way I do. And guess what? When I need to, I'll reach out to those people and say, hey, want to get together? Want to get together and bitch for a while? Because I really need it. Because if you hold all of this stuff in, it just builds up. And now imagine if I don't talk to anybody about this subject for the next 4 years, where I'm going to be in 2029. It's not going to be good. Another thing you can do is, and this is going to sound, you're probably going to say, oh, that's lame. Journal. Write down your thoughts. Write them down, because something may happen today that you will want to remember in a year from now, and you've forgotten. So if you keep track of all of this stuff, it's going to help you. Just like keeping track of the price of eggs. Because remember, when he campaigned, he said he was going to lower the price of things on day one. That didn't happen. So maybe keep a journal of prices and watch them climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and climb. Because he don't know what he's doing. That man's a fool. And he thinks he's the most intelligent person on the planet. He's not. Not even close. Not even close. This light right here that's not turned on, it's brighter than he is. Brighter. What else can you do? Find a cause. Your cause may be trans people, gay marriage, people of color, equality, you name it, Social Security, entitlement programs. You might have a number of causes, but I would suggest that you pick one. Pick one that is truly the most important to you and rally for it. Because if you try to go at everything, you're going to lose your mind. You can't do it all. But if you select one particular issue that's important to you, you can focus on that and probably do more good for it. Because you can spend more time finding groups to help, or charities to donate to, whatever. And that's another thing. Let's say, for example, you decide to cancel all of your subscriptions to mainstream media. Or maybe you've got services that you use that you find out supported him. When you cancel those subscriptions and you have that money to spare, direct it towards a cause that is absolutely diametrically opposed to what he stands for. You can throw a dart out there and it'll land on a marginalized group of people, or a subject, or an effort that he hates. because we all know he's a racist, he's a xenophobe, he's a homophobe, he's a transphobe. He hates all of the things that are good, and he loves all of the things that are bad. I never thought I would say in my lifetime that our government is trying to cozy up to Russia. But here we are. Don't be silent. Don't be afraid. Because if we're silent and afraid, they win. That's exactly what they want. They are hitting us with everything they can so that we become so confused that we don't know what to say or do. And that's another reason why I say find a single cause to focus on. Because if you try to focus on them all, you're going to be ineffective. But like I said, don't be silent. Because silence is complicity, and silence doesn't help. Be brave, speak out. Just like I'm doing right now. It doesn't take a lot. You don't have to use an expensive camera and setup. Just grab your phone and film yourself telling people what you stand for, why you don't agree with him, and who you support. Let people know. And I know, there are days, seriously, there are days when I think, should I be doing this? Am I risking my well-being by being my authentic self in public? I know there are risks involved. But you know what? I love this country. I love the freedom that I'm given in this country. And I'm seeing those freedoms go away. And that breaks my heart. I just saw today that a Republican senator proposed legislation to overturn gay marriage. Do you know how many friends, lovely, wonderful friends I have who are married? They're in a same-sex marriage, and knowing how heartbreaking it would be if those people who have been married and in love for years would all of a sudden no longer be married because a homophobe was elected into power. So I try to let those people in my life know how I support them and how I'm there for them. Because if this gets overturned, there will be a lot of hurt in this country, a lot of heartbreak. So be an ally. This administration is coming after people, and they're not going to stop until they are stopped. And here's the last thing I'm going to say. In a short time, shorter than you think, because, time goes by very fast, there's going to be a midterm election. And the goal should be to reclaim the majority. So whatever you have to do to support that, do so. If that means campaigning, going door to door for a local candidate, or sending money to a candidate, or just speaking out loud in public or in social media for a candidate, and just remind people like you to go vote. So when it comes time to go vote, if you know people who are saying, what's the point? You remind them what's at stake. Even if you have to go to the point of shaming them into voting. Because if you are against this administration and you don't vote when the midterms come around, if you have a midterm in your area, then you are complicit. Because what we need to do is shift the levers of power such that we put the guardrails back in place so Trump doesn't feel like he can do whatever the hell he wants. Because the Supreme Court has pretty much said he has unlimited power and immunity. But if either the Senate or the House goes back to Democrat, then he's going to have trouble. He's going to have trouble getting anything done. And that is the best thing we can do right now. That is our ace in the hole. So be prepared. It's going to come sooner than you think, and these politicians are going to be campaigning sooner than you think. So get ready to get on the bandwagon and help get them elected so we don't have to worry about the last 2 years of the Trump presidency, and we can make sure that those guardrails in place to protect us. And last but not least, take a breath. Take a breath and remind yourself that democracy is not going to be overturned that easily, and that it's only 4 years. We survived 4 years of Trump once before. We can do it again. Just reach out. Reach out and support people and let other people know that you need support. We can do this, but we have to do it together. Thank you very, very much for listening to me blather on about this. I hope that maybe I've given you something to think about, maybe something to act on, and hopefully just helped you to know that we can all get through this. Thank you very much, and I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.